Oh, dude.
That's sketchy, that's sketchy. Sometimes in this hobby, you find yourself returning to the same company that's done nothing but disappoint you with cash grabs, and it feels like running back to an ex-girlfriend and expecting different results. It truly is the definition of insanity.
Hey, you forgot your radio.
We can't say we were disappointed this time around, though, and if you couldn't tell, we had a blast filming this review. However, we don't really see Horizon having that same passion for the re-release of the Maule. In fact, it feels like this was just put out again to fund the next super-duper trooper timber. Let me explain. The Maule M7 is a neglected middle child among E-Flite's extensive lineup. On one hand, you have the now literally piss-yellow golden child, the Super Timber. Every year, extensive improvements are made like stronger gear, 2 motors, 8+ ounces of additional plastic, or even wooden construction. On the other, you have the Maule M7, which E-Flite pawned off to FMS for 3 goats. Oh, and FMS sells it cheaper too. Don't believe it's the same airplane with different servos? Check this out and decide for yourself. That paints a pretty bad picture, pun intended, but there's an old phrase that comes to mind. Don't fix what isn't broken. And maybe that's exactly what Horizon was trying to do when they re-released the same airplane with virtually no improvements.
Idiot! God damn.
To say that's true, though, you'd have to ignore the numerous issues that have plagued the airframe since its initial release back in 2018. But we'll get to those. The Timber might seem like an abstract model to compare the M7 to, but it offers a completely different experience despite fitting into roughly the same class of aircraft. The Timber is nimble, aerobatic, and frankly more designed to fly well than look good. It's about utility. The Maule, on the other hand, favors scale details over beneficial flight characteristics or ease of assembly. It's fast, but it doesn't roll very fast, which makes sense for being a scale bird. That being said, it's great for putting around in light acro, but if you're looking for something that's really going to push you to improve your acro flying, this one isn't it. It's a great scale plane, but with so many other capable options out there, this isn't an aircraft that comes to mind when suggesting new airplanes to folks, unless it's their second model and they have the itch for something more scale. If your mom offered to buy you a 2005 Nissan Altima, mostly reliable, or a 2005 Porsche GT3 that has speakers, a trailer, and wings that'll make it fly, which would you choose? We have to give it to the Maule. It is reliable. You know exactly what it's going to do when you ask something of it. She really doesn't bite. Horizon probably intentionally toned it down with a conservative nose-heavy CG that you can't adjust by moving the battery around. We also wish it was possible to get more throw out of the smaller control surfaces. The rudder is small for a plane that's full-scale counterpart is infamous for needing a significant amount of rudder trim in a climb to stay coordinated. The elevator is also small when attempting legit 3 points at slower approach speeds. You can't scale down air. But again, it is reliable, so much so that it took us 2 submarine boating adventures with the Maule before we finally fried and caught fire to an ESC that definitely wasn't covered by the warranty.
Whoa! There's your girl.
Quick, swim and get it.
Yo, the pilot's drowning though.
Yo, waterboard his ass.
Yeah, dude. It's amazing how well it worked considering.
Yep.
I'm gonna drain it out right here.
Oh, there it is again.
Oh, I see the smoke. Did you see the smoke?
I do see the smoke.
Holy
that
crap.
smells good, huh? Jeez. Oh.
Well, you served us well, Maule.
Wait, dude, yes. Here you go. No, that was it.
Oh, dude.
That's sketchy, that's sketchy.
Those are live leads at the end of the light.
We're back.
Yeah.
You know what you're getting with the Maule. Missionary, and there's nothing wrong with that. Its scale details and scale performance cater to a different market than the Timber, one who's getting ready to leave an Aero Scout and jump to something that looks less like it was designed by a militaristic engineering team of toddlers and more like an airplane. Plus, the Maule has a little fun factor thrown in by way of excess thrust with an easy prop upgrade. We opted to slap a 13x4 prop on ours, which gave it significantly more than the already ample stock thrust on the 11x7 while pulling less overall amps. With this upgrade, hovering is easier if you want to pick this bird up despite not being into scale aircraft. If you decide not to upgrade and hover it with the stock prop, expect to be closer to full throttle with less room for error and punch-out. The Maule will begrudgingly do snaps and tumbles, but the real limiting factor here is the small tail surfaces combined with a very conservatively nose-heavy CG, and also not being designed to fly like an extra. As far as 3D maneuvers go, it won't really do much outside of hovering, as you'd expect. This is not a complaint, just information. Flat turns are fun, as are slow rolls, 4 points, and even inverted high alpha. So, it's a great scale plane. What sucks about it? The gear. And that's a crazy complaint to have about a bush plane if you think about it. Almost everyone we know who has had a Maule had problems with the gear bowing out and the tail wheel snapping off over time. This is because, since there's no additional bracing and the main gear is a single wire going out on either side, side loading leads to the gear bowing out. One-wheel landings are wacky on this bird for this reason. Okay, but tail heavy. Horizon says it's a scale plane. Well, yes, but Horizon specifically boasts about rugged landing gear in the first paragraph on the product page. What's strange here is that FMS doesn't even try and make the same claim despite selling the same product. Again, the tail wheel is another weak link, and this is another instance where if you own one for long enough, you'll know what we're talking about. My first Maule's tail wheel broke off after about 30 or so flights. So, with weak landing gear, our obvious solution was to keep the Maule as a permanent float plane. It's great on floats. It's stable, and the built-in servo in the float for the water rudder is a huge plus compared to the older generations of Timbers that use that annoying fishing line system. It's an obvious choice anytime we plan on going out to the water to fly. Not to mention how well it's waterproofed, as you saw earlier. They are a bit of a pain to take on and off though. In fact, despite the many steps, we also found problems with our aft attachment points for the floats being a very tight fit. The same applies for wings in regards to being a chore. If you can avoid taking the wings on and off, we suggest you do so. They're a pain in the ass to work with, and getting the wires to all fit in the slot in the fuselage is a pain. As a bonus though, the Maule on floats is a blast on snow and ice. We knew better this review than to go take it to the forest, at least outside of my own backyard. For us, this plane will be permanently staying on floats, and we didn't want to leave it broken. We owned one upon the initial release and already had her fun flying in the woods with it. She did a great job for what she is, but the Timber does outperform this plane in this type of flying.
So we got the big area just like the Timber video. Have my boy zoom out here. And then if you look to the right, I mean, there's pretty much only one way in, one way out. Oh, okay. I'm not doing that again, dude.
Skilled pilot doing skilled pilot things. What was that?
I don't know. Oh yeah.
Ah, my eye.
That damn wind.
Unfortunately for us, ours came with a broken right aileron servo out of the box. We opted to just buy the $9 servo so we could quickly get to flying it, but we're positive Horizon would have supplied us with another had we asked and proven the product was defective. We prefer landing with the true-to-scale plain flaps, otherwise you'll eat up quite a bit of runway. Forward slips are fun and can help you lose altitude without gaining excess airspeed if the flaps aren't cutting it for you. The wing cube loading of the Maule is 8.8 with the recommended 4S pack. This is a little high for a bush plane, but is to be expected with a model that focuses more on scale details than staying lighter and floatier. Due to the wider gear, she's less susceptible to ground loops. Wheel landings are easy if you have experience dancing on the rudder with tailwheel aircraft. Just be aware that if you go with our recommended prop upgrade, you'll probably strike the prop now and again, adding forward pressure on the rollout for wheel landings. Ultimately, we figured we'd end up 3-pointing more often anyway, so we just dealt with it. On that topic, we found ourselves with a timer of 4 minutes and 30 seconds with the 13x4 prop, and about 5 minutes to 5 minutes and 30 seconds on the stock prop, depending on how you flew it. Flight time isn't a strong suit for this airplane. The stock prop pulled more amps than our upgrade, so it seemed like a no-brainer. We set ours up with 40% expo all around and max travel mechanically and digitally until the servos bound. To ensure this is covered, we felt it important to mention that on floats, as with any airplane, be careful not to use too much cross control when trying one-float landings and getting that wing a little too low to the water. If it does touch the water, it will likely suck the plane into the water nose first. Maybe I should learn how to land better. Back in the air, as we mentioned earlier, she really doesn't bite. In all stall configurations, clean and dirty, accelerated and straight and level, 1G, etc., we found the Maule to just mush on its way down, back to Earth, and not drop a wing violently. Just remember to let it go, and then level the wings and gently pull out if something does happen. Assembly was a breeze as well. No glue was required, just the screws. It took us about an hour before we were flight ready, if that. If you aren't familiar with how RC planes go together, the manual does a phenomenal job of explaining it. For our battery tray, we used our favorite UMA grip rather than Velcro. Just be careful with the force you use to remove the battery, as it may break the wooden battery tray. Don't get confused, there's no reason you shouldn't pick up the Maule if you have room in your garage for another Civic or Altima. Does it excel at anything in particular? Not really, but that's okay because it doesn't tell you it'll do anything it won't. At least as a float plane. We really wish Horizon allowed it to be a platform that allowed for flexibility with CG, as this, along with smaller tail surfaces, seem to be the only things holding them all back from further than beyond scale fun performance. Some other updates, like Quick Connect wing plugs, would have been a welcome change as well, but unfortunately, it seems like this was just released to fund the not just another timber. Not that big of a deal considering we'll always leave our wings on, but something to be aware of for those with tight trunks. Horizon either discontinued them all, as they wouldn't reply to our emails asking about this, or is out of stock for whatever reason. But to the best of our knowledge, FMS has the same exact airplane, aside from the servos, for sale right now for $30 less than Horizon's was. Or is, whatever the actual answer is. It's blue if you're colorblind. If you'd like to support the channel and plan on ordering one, consider using our affiliate link in the description. It helps us out without any extra cost tacked onto your purchase. Special thanks to our channel supporters. Be sure to check out our merch as well. Go ahead and give this video a thumbs up if you'd like to see more float shenanigans, or consider pressing subscribe if you're interested in watching us hack this thing up to have more of an aft CG. As always, happy landings, cartwheel them all for us on the water, and we'll catch you next week with a new upload.
We'll see ya.